Erev Tov. Good evening, everyone. Tonight we move on to the third MISHNA of Masechet Berachot, which talks about the topic of what position we have to be in when we say the Shema Yisrael. There's opinions about you sit up, you stand up, you lie down. We're going to speak about that. And as we discuss that, we're going to speak about a very, very, very famous topic, a very important topic, very fundamental, the concept called Osek Bemitzvah, Patur min mitzvah. When you're involved with one mitzvah, you are exempt from doing other mitzvot in the Torah. It's a very important topic that comes up here in Masechet Berachot and also in Masechet Sukkah, and it's a subject there's a lot of fun things that come out of it. So B'ezrat Hashem, we're hopefully gonna cover that and a little bit more tonight. That's the plan. But let's get started. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. First, before we start the MISHNA, which is on the bottom of Daf Yud Amud Beit 10B, if you're looking at our scroll, it's the MISHNA 10B 7, all the way on the bottom. Before that, we're just going to look at the pasuk of Shema Yisrael for a second. You guys, this is from the Shema Yisrael. The Shema Yisrael itself, right? These words should be in your heart. The third line of the Shema is Veshinantam levanecha. You should teach these words of Shema and the words of the Torah to your children. And you should say them. When should you say them? This is the mitzvah of Shema Yisrael. When are you required to say them? There's three phrases here that are going to be very important. So pay attention to these three phrases. Phrase number one, B'shivtecha V'vetecha, when you're sitting in your home. Phrase number two, Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh, when you're traveling on the way. So you have to say Shema when you're sitting in the home, when you're traveling on the way. And phrase number three, Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha, when you lie down, when you arise. When you lie down, when you get up. So this is the source of saying Shema Yisrael, and this is the time of when you have to say Shema Yisrael. When are the times of saying Shema Yisrael? When you lie down, when you get up. That's once in the night, once in the day. We already saw. Our first Mishnah told us, when do we say Shema at the nighttime? The second Mishnah is when do we say Shema in the morning? Now, we're going to delve into this pasuk, these three phrases. Number one, B'shivtecha V'vetecha means what? When you're sitting in your house. Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh means when you're traveling on the way, when you're going on the way. Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha, which means when you're lying down, when you get up. Not necessarily when you sleep, it's when you lie down. There's a reason why we need to be precise, because this is going to be the topic of a discussion of our Mishnah. Mishnah on Daf Yud Amud Bet. If you're looking in the art scroll, 10B 7. Beit Shammai Omrim. Beit Shammai are now going to take a position on the position you have to be in when you're saying the Shema Yisrael. Ba'erev, in the evening, Beit Shammai say, Kol Adam Yateh Ve'yikra. Everyone must recline to read the Shema Yisrael. So when you're saying the Shema Yisrael in the evening time, everyone needs to lie down. Imagine that. Imagine we're Arvit upstairs. Then we get everyone lie down. Uveshokhbekha means you have to lie down. Lie down. Shema Yisrael. Okay, everyone get up. You think you're the Pesach Seder all of a sudden with everyone lying down. Do you have to lean to the left, lean to the right? Doesn't say. He just says you have to lie down when you're saying the Shema Yisrael. That's the opinion of Beit Shammai. Uvaboker, what do you have to do in the morning? Ya'amod, you need to stand. In the mornings for the Shema Yisrael, everyone stand up, say Shema Yisrael. Shneimar, why? Because the pasuk says Uveshokhbekha when you're lying down, Uvkumekha, and when you stand up, which means when you say Shema at night, you need to lie down, and when you're saying Shema in the morning, you need to stand up. That's the opinion of Beit Shammai. Ubeit Hillel Omrim, the house of Hillel, argue. I'll come back to it in a second. Beit Hillel Omrim, they argue and they say, Kol Adam Koreg Kedarko. Anyone could read in whatever position they want. You don't need to lie down in the evening and stand up in the morning. You can read whatever position you want. There is no requirement on position. Shneimar, as the pasuk says, Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh. It says, as you're traveling on the way, you have to say Shema when you're traveling on the way. Let me ask you a question. If you're traveling, does it make sense that in the middle of traveling on your donkey, stand up all of a sudden? No. Or lie down on your donkey all of a sudden? No. If I'm allowed to say Shema when I'm sitting on my donkey traveling, then clearly the position doesn't matter, because I'm not lying down on my donkey, I'm not standing up on my donkey, I'm doing whatever I want. If while I'm traveling I decide to stand, I could say Shema. While I'm traveling I want to lie down, I can say Shema. You decide how you're traveling. You decide what position you're going to say Shema in. Okay? Machloket Beit Shammai Beit Hillel. Let's just speak about this for 1 minute. Beit Shammai means the house of Shammai. What does that mean? The school of Shammai. Beit Hillel is the school of Hillel, which means there were two leading rabbis, Hillel and Shammai. And those two leading rabbis had two schools, two yeshivas. And these two yeshivot would go head to head on huge topics and would very often have machloket. They would argue with each other. And now these two schools argue on what is the proper positioning when you're saying Shema Yisrael. Now, Beit Hillel is going to argue and defend himself against the other opinion. Beit Shammai says you have to lie down because it says Uveshokhbekha, and you have to stand up because it says Uvkumekha. Beit Hillel says no, you could do whatever position you want. Oh, so then why does it say Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha? Im ken, lama ne'emar Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha. Why does it say you say Shema when you're lying down and when you're getting up? If you're telling me I don't need to lie down and I don't need to get up, he explains it's the time at which people generally lie down. It's the time at which people generally stand up. So when it says Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha, it doesn't mean the position you have to be in when you say Shema. It's telling you the time at which you have to say Shema. One second. Amar Rabbi Tarfon interrupts our Mishnah with a story, which we had this happen in our first Mishnah also, where we had a story with the children of Rabban Gamliel. Now we have a story with Rabbi Tarfon. Amar Rabbi Tarfon, Ani ha'iti ba baderech. I was once traveling, and while I was traveling in the middle of the way, it was nighttime, and I wanted to say Shema. So what did I do? I got off my donkey. I got off where I was. I was going to lie down on the ground. Vehiteti likrot. I lie down to read Kedivrei Beit Shammai, like the opinion of Beit Shammai. Vesikanti be'atzmi, and I risked my life mipnei halistim, because there were robbers there. Imagine you're someone who is vulnerable. You have your stuff, you have your bags, and then you go lie down on the floor. It's extremely dangerous. And he says, "Look, I went out of my way and I risked my life to say Shema by lying down, according to the opinion of Beit Shammai." Amrulo, the rabbis, when they heard the story, they said to him, if something would have happened to you and you would have gotten hurt and you would have gotten killed, it would have been your own fault. Because you're going against the words of Beit Hillel. Beit Hillel never required you to do this. You want to be stringent and be more religious. If something bad would have happened to you, you would have deserved it. Because you're going against the halakha. So we're already seeing here that the halakha we're going to see is according to Beit Hillel. That you don't need to lie down when you're saying Shema in the evening, and you don't need to stand up when you're saying Shema in the morning. You can, but you don't need to. And so, since Rabbi Tarfon went out of his way and said, "I'm going to be like Beit Shammai and lie down," they told him, "Look, if you would have gotten hurt, that would have been your own fault. You're risking your life in the middle of a dangerous street by lying down in the middle of the street. It's dangerous. It would have been your own fault." Okay, questions.
How do we know that you don't say Shema?
Correct. He's not using it as a proof for the time. He's using it as a proof for the position. So if you go back to the pasuk of the Shema Yisrael, we're going to break down each of these phrases and what we learn from each of them. But essentially, you have one phrase here, when you're sitting in your home, Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh, when you're traveling on the way, Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha, when you're lying down, when you get up. Beit Shammai says, the position that you have to be in Shammai when you say the Shema Yisrael, I learned from the words Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha, when you're lying down, when you get up. Beit Hillel says no. The position that you have to be in when you say Shema, I learned from Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh, when you're traveling. Correct. You're correct that the word b'shivtecha means that when you're sitting you have to say Shema, but it's also telling me that when I'm traveling I have to say Shema, and if I'm traveling and I'm not sitting I still have to say Shema. So then, am I actually traveling if I have to interrupt my traveling to sit? It's not traveling. The very fact, you're correct that it's saying that you say Shema when you're sitting, but it's also saying you say Shema when you're traveling. So the very fact that I have to say Shema when I'm traveling means you're not requiring me to be in any specific position. If you require me to be in any specific position, I wouldn't have to say Shema if I'm traveling, because I would have to interrupt my traveling and sit. And we don't have to sit. Or I would have to interrupt my traveling and lie down, which is what Rabbi Tarfon did. And we're saying you don't need to do that. Okay. Okay, we'll talk about that when we get to it. Yeah, about like what is the correct proper positioning. Josh, you got a question on this?
It could all be correct, you know? You could say between line 9 to the other two, you're walking, like, why does that have to be?
So what basically what's going on here is Beit Shammai is requiring you to lie down when you go when you say Shema evening, and requiring you to stand up when you're saying Shema in the morning. And Beit Hillel is saying you're making something out of nothing. When it says Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha, it's telling you the times to say Shema. You're making this up. I actually think that the pasuk is being more general and saying say Shema no matter what. Say Shema if you're sitting, say Shema if you're traveling, say Shema no matter what. In other words, there's no strict requirement of what position you have to be in. You're making this up. Oh, Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha is a position. It's not a position. It's a time. That's really what it comes down to, is their understanding of Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha. According to Beit Shammai, it's a position. According to Beit Hillel, it's a time. And Beit Hillel continues to support that by saying, oh, when I say Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh, traveling on the way, no one requires me to travel in any position. I could travel sitting, I could travel standing, I could travel lying down. So too, I could say Shema, sitting, standing, or lying down. That's their Machloket at this point. Where there's a lot more on this topic, but this is at the initial level what they're discussing. We're gonna do it more right now. Any other questions before we move on? Yes.
Based on the last paragraph, is the MISHNA favoring Bemitzvah?
Yes, absolutely. Based on the last paragraph, the Mishnah is favoring Beit Hillel, and the halacha is going to be like Beit Hillel. Throughout most of Shas, Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel, the halacha follows like Beit Hillel because they were the majority. It's a bigger school, they had more rabbanim there, and that being the case, since they're majority, the halacha follows. When there's a Machloket Beit Shammai, Beit Hillel, we follow Beit Hillel. There are a few exceptions, but that's the most the accepted opinion. So when Beit Shammai tells you you have to lie down, Beit Hillel says you don't need to. It's dangerous. It's in the middle of the night. You're in your car. You're parked, and then you say, "Oh, let me get out of my car. Let me go lie down on the floor." And then some guy comes and puts a gun to your head, and it's dangerous. And then you say, "But I was doing Beit Shammai. Who told you to do Beit Shammai? The halacha isn't like Beit Shammai." That's what they told Rabbi Tarfon. What are you doing? Going and risking your life? It's in the middle of the road. Keep moving. You don't stop in the middle of the road when it's a dangerous area. Okay, good. Let's keep going. We are now turning to Daf Yud Aleph Amud Aleph. Gemara, the top of 11a1. Okay, the Gemara is going to say, anytime you have a discussion between two opinions, you always want to know how does each one defend themselves, and why did each one not like the other one's proof. So we're going to have to make like a back and forth here. Beit Shammai is focused on the words Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha. Lying down, getting up, that's my position. Beit Hillel says, no. That's only talking about the times, and I instead want to focus on Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh. So the natural question is, okay, Beit Shammai, what do you say about his defense? But when he says Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha is only talking about the times, what would you say about that? And what are you going to say about his source of Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh when he's focused on the traveling and tells you any position? What are you going to say about that? So now we're going to ask Beit Shammai for his two responses. Okay, here we go. Bishlama Beit Hillel, I understand the opinion of Beit Hillel. They explain their opinion, their source, which comes from Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh. And they also explain their opinion of Beit Hillel's pasuk, of Beit Shammai's pasuk. Beit Shammai says Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha means lie down and get up. They say no, that's just talking about the times. Beit Shammai, but you, Beit Shammai, what is your defense against Beit Hillel? Why do you not agree with Beit Hillel's opinion? So, Beit Shammai would say the following. Okay, let's just focus on the Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha for a second. Beit Hillel says Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha is telling you the times. If that was the case, that I wanted to just tell you that these words Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha is only focused on the times. So the pasuk could have said in the morning and the evening. If the Torah wants to tell you to say Shema once in the night, once in the day, you know what it could have said? Once in the night, once in the day. It didn't say that though. It said when you're lying down, when you're getting up. So clearly, it's not just times. Beit Hillel, you're telling me it's just the time of the clock. If it would have been just time of the clock, it would have just said in the morning and the evening. But it's much more than that. It's also telling you a position. At the time of lying down, shechiva mamash, you also physically need to lie down. So I agree with you that it's telling you the times, says Beit Shammai, but it's telling you something else also. If it were only telling me the times, it would have said Baboker or Ba'erev, in the morning and the evening. But since it says it using a different terminology of when you lie down, when you get up, it's telling you that in the evening, during that time, you also need to lie down physically. Ushat kima, in the morning, that when it's time to get up, kimamash, you physically need to stand. So that is Beit Shammai's defense against Beit Hillel. Beit Shammai says Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha is telling you the position. You have to lie down and you have to get up. Beit Hillel says no, that's only talking about the times. So Beit Shammai says if it was only talking about the times, it would have said in the morning and in the evening. But since it doesn't say the general terms of in the morning and the evening, but it says more specifically when you lie down, when you get up, it's telling you that yes, it's the times, and yes, it's the position also. That's the opinion of Beit Shammai. Both the times and the position you learn from Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha. Okay, now, but what's the other thing? Beit Hillel says, you know what my proof is that you could do in any position? My proof is that you could do in any position. It comes from the words that you say Shema when you're traveling. When you're traveling, you could be traveling in any position. There's no mandatory position. So too, when you say Shema, you could be in any position. So what's Beit Shammai's response to that? Beit Shammai, hi, Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh. Beit Shammai, what do they do with Beit Hillel's proof of Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh? My avid lehu. Why, according to Beit Shammai, why does the pasuk say you have to say Shema when you're traveling? Right? Go back to the pasuk. It says Shema. You have to say Shema when you're sitting in your house, when you're traveling on the way, when you're lying down, when you get up. So according to Beit Hillel, when it says when you lie down and get up, that's giving you the times. When it says Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh, that's giving you the positions, or to be more precise, the lack of a particular position. Now let's go to Beit Shammai. Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha tells you the times. Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha tells you the position also. So what do you do with the words of Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh? Why does the Torah need to say, hey, you need to say Shema when you're traveling? What are you teaching me? What? Okay, so why would you think to be exempt? You have to say Shema. You know what? I need you to eat kosher. Even when you're traveling. Yeah, okay. That's part of the requirement. Maybe you would think that, no, you don't need it. Maybe someone, it might be more difficult for them. So how does this mean even when you're traveling, you have to say Shema? How does that work? So, gentlemen, we are now going to begin the famous discussion of Osek, Bemitzvah, Patur, Mitzvah. Famous discussion, okay? Beit Shammai says the words Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh come to teach me something completely different. It's coming to teach me that you need to say Shema in situations that are like you're traveling, which is something that you are deciding to do leisurely. You say Shema when you're sitting at home or when you're traveling. These are things that you decide to do on your own. But if you are involved with a mitzvah, not traveling, but you're involved with a mitzvah, you are doing something like giving charity to the poor, or going and you're delivering packages to the poor, or something like that, then you don't need to say Shema. Let's see it inside. It's going to be a long flow, and we're going to break it down. Here we go. Hahu mibelahu Bet Shammai says the words of Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh is I need it for something else. Likidetanya, as I learned in the Breita, the following. Beshivtecha vevetecha. You have to say Shema when you're sitting in your home. Perat Osek Bemitzvah. That's coming to exclude someone who is actively involved with a mitzvah. The person who is actively involved in the mitzvah does not need to say Shema. In other words, the way you read it is, you have to say Shema when you're sitting at home doing nothing. But if you're involved with a mitzvah, you don't need to say Shema. You only have to say Shema if you're sitting at home. But if you're involved with a mitzvah, you don't need to say Shema. Okay? That's what you learn from Beshivtecha Vevetecha. Say Shema at home. That comes to exclude someone that's involved with the mitzvah. Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh, the next phrase, when it says you have to say Shema when you're traveling, prat chattan. That comes to exclude a chattan on his wedding night. The night of a wedding, he doesn't have to say Shema. He's involved with the mitzvah, so he doesn't have to say Shema. We're going to explain a lot of this. There's a lot to discuss. But essentially what this Breita tells us is, going back to our pasuk, it says you have to say Shema when you're sitting in your house, when you're traveling on the way. each of those phrases is coming to tell you not a situation where you need to say Shema, but a situation where you don't need to say Shema. You need to say Shema when you're sitting in your house, not if you're doing a mitzvah. You need to say Shema if you're traveling away, not if you're a chattan on your wedding night. You don't need to say Shema. Okay? So how does one teach you the other? Pause for a second. There's one more phrase that the Braita tells us. Mikan Amru. From this rule, we learn the following. Hakones the betula patur. If one is marrying a betula, is a virgin, he does not need to say Shema on the time of his wedding. Ve'eta amana, but if he's marrying a widowed woman, meaning a non-virgin, chayav, he is required to say Shema. So we just learned that someone who is involved with the mitzvah doesn't need to say Shema, and a chattan on the night of his wedding doesn't need to say Shema. But when we talk about chattan, we drill down and say the chattan depends on who he's marrying. If he's marrying a betula, a virgin, he doesn't need to say Shema. But if he's marrying a non-virgin woman, then he does need to say Shema. Chayav, he's chayav. So the Gemara is going to try to say, let me unpack all of this. My mashma. What is the implication here? How can you infer from the words Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha and Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh that you don't need to say Shema if you are involved with the mitzvah? My mashma, how does one imply the other? It says I'm saying Shema in my house. Why does that mean that if I'm doing a mitzvah I don't need to say Shema? Amar Rav Papa. Rav Papa says the following: Ki derech. Your requirement to say Shema is situations that are similar to the road. Ki derech. Now what you're saying is that the phrase of Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh is coming to teach you the context under which you need to say Shema. Ma derech reshut. Just as traveling on the road is a leisurely activity, something that you choose to do, it's not something that you're required to do. That's when you need to say Shema. Avkol reshut. So too, all the situations that you're chayav to say Shema are situations that you're involved with leisurely activity that you're not required to do. In other words, not a mitzvah. If you're deciding to do this, that's when you have to say Shema. But if you're involved with a mitzvah, then you don't need to say Shema. So the Gemara says, hold on a second. Let's just make sure we got this straight. You learn that I'm only required to say Shema when I'm not doing a mitzvah, because it said derech, the road, and you're saying, well, derech obviously means you're not doing a mitzvah, but isn't it possible that you're traveling to do a mitzvah? Is it possible that you're on the road to go deliver Tomchei Shabbat package deliveries? Then you're traveling to do a mitzvah, and it says you have to say Shema. So who said that traveling is a non-mitzvah activity? So that's the Gemara's question. Milo askinan. Is it not possible to say that when it says Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh, when you're traveling, is it not possible that the person is traveling to do a mitzvah? But even so, the Torah says you need to say Shema when you're traveling. Why are you saying that travel is a non-mitzvah activity and therefore I only have to read Shema when I'm doing non-mitzvot activities? Maybe travel is also a mitzvah. Maybe I'm traveling to do a mitzvah. It says in the Torah when you travel. So im ken, here's why. Ready? It's going to get very, very, very technical here. Lichtov rachmana. If all types of travel, you're required to say Shema under all types of travel, whether mitzvah or optional travel. If I would be required to say Shema under all of those, you know what it should have said? Lemakra b'shevet, when you're in sitting in the house, uvelechet, and in traveling. B'shevet, when sitting, uvelechet, in traveling. My b'shivtecha, uvelekhtekha. What does it mean? In your sitting? It's when you're sitting in a way that you choose to sit. No one told you to. Uvelekhtekha, when you're traveling, not because Hashem told you to, but you chose to. Uvelekhtekha means in your choice of travel, not mitzvah travel. If I am going to deliver the packages of tzedakah, I'm delivering packages of matanot levyonim, I'm delivering the packages of Tomchei Shabbat. That's not Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh. Lechtecha, you're going. That's not my going. That's Hashem's going. I'm doing Hashem's mission. I'm doing a mitzvah. So the very fact that it says Uvelekhtekha, You're going, that means to say that you only have to say Shema when you're doing things at your own, on your own decision. B'shivtecha, when you're sitting because you don't want to do a mitzvah, you want to sit at home. So that's when you need to say Shema. Uvelekhtekha, when you're traveling for your own leisurely trips, that's when you have to say Shema. Mai b'shivtecha, uvelekhtekha, b'shevet didach. In your sitting, uvelechet didach, and in your traveling, udim mechayevet. That's when you're chayav. Ha, the mitzvah petirat. But if you're traveling, or you're sitting even in a mitzvah manner, you are patur from saying Shema. Okay, there's a lot to unpack, and we're not even done. I just want to do a quick recap of where we're up to because we have to go a little bit more. Okay, here's what we're trying to unpack. There's a braita that is teaching us the concept that you only need to say Shema if what? When do you need to say Shema? When you're not involved in a mitzvah. Exactly. Because if you were involved with another mitzvah, you're not required to say Shema. That's the rule of Osek Bemitzvah. When you're involved with one mitzvah, Patur min mitzvah. You don't need to do other mitzvot. Good? Everyone clear on that concept? Everyone say it. Osek Bemitzvah, Patur min mitzvah. If you're involved with one mitzvah, you're Patur from the other mitzvah. So no, there's no Shammai Hillel. This is a braita. Right now, we're not talking about Beit Shammai, Beit Hillel. We're talking about a separate braita, and we're saying Beit Shammai is later going to say, I'm attaching myself to this braita. Yes, question? So, okay, excellent question. Jared's question just for the Zoom was, is Osek mitzvah, Patur mitzvah a known principle, and we're just applying it here, or is this the source? Okay, the answer is, what do you think? It's a Machloket. It's a Machloket in Masechet Sukkah Daf Chaf Hei Amud Aleph. There are two possible sources, this being one of them. So the answer of your question is, this is the source, according to one opinion. This is the source. B'shivtecha v'veitecha, prat la'osek mitzvah. You are learning from here that if you're involved with one mitzvah, you don't need to do the mitzvah of Shema or any mitzvah. Now, just a caveat, we're talking about positive mitzvot. Okay? If I'm involved with doing a mitzvah, that doesn't mean I cannot eat pork. Right? Like, oh, I'm doing a mitzvah, so let me steal from you at the same time. Or I'm doing a mitzvah, so I'm going to have a cheeseburger. Because the Torah says, oh, you're involved with one mitzvah, you don't need to do other mitzvah. No. When you're involved with one mitzvah, you don't need to now do another positive mitzvah. Positive. Negative mitzvah, you still have to keep. If I'm involved with one mitzvah, everyone okay? So you don't really need to check on him because you're involved with Torah. So even if he is not okay, you don't need or second mitzvah, patur mitzvah. But it sounds like the guy needs help.
Yeah.
Oh! Okay. What about if someone has tzitzit on? Someone is wearing tzitzit, so now he doesn't need to do any mitzvah. Someone puts on his talit, and he says tefillin, nah, I'm good. I have tzitzit already. Oh yeah, you put on your talit and tefillin, someone hands you a siddur, say, what do I need that for?
Rabbi, what about Avat Yisrael also? It should be constant mitzvah.
Okay, if you actually love people, yeah. Okay, the mitzvah ve'afta l'reacha kamocha. Okay, very good. This, you could expand this. So Tosfot and the Ran ask exactly this question. And there's two different ways of the answer to this question. The problem is we're not done with the Gemara yet. So I can't really get into the answer. You know what? I'll get into the answers now, but understand that we're in the middle of the flow, but let's go ahead and do this. So Tosfot asks this question. Tosfot asks, Atu, Mish yesh lo tzitzit bevigdo, tefillin berasho, mi miftar mikol mitzvot ve'amarot b'Torah. Is it the case that if I'm wearing tzitzit, if I'm wearing my tefillin, I don't need to do any mitzvot? Or better yet, I put up a mezuzah over there. My house has a mezuzah, so I don't need to do anything. Time to pray. What pray? I have a mezuzah. What do I need to pray? If someone comes and says, you're Jewish, you want to shake lulav in a Torah? Say, no, I'm wearing my tzitzit. I don't need to shake lulav in a Torah. So how does this work? So the answer that Tosfot gives, very simple answer. He says, it says, Osek bemitzvah, patur min mitzvah. Osek means when someone is actively involved in a mitzvah. If someone is focused and actively involved with doing a mitzvah, it's during those moments that he is patur from doing other mitzvot. Which means, in the moment that I'm wrapping my tefillin, if someone comes and says, hey, can I have some tzedakah? I don't have to give him. Because I'm doing a mitzvah of hanachat tefillin in that exact moment. If as I'm doing this, someone comes and asks me to do them a favor or whatever it is, I'm involved with my mitzvah already. If I'm wrapping and putting on my talit in that 5 seconds, someone comes to you and asks you for tzedakah, patur. You don't need to do that mitzvah. But once it's on, that's not called osek mitzvah. That's called mekayem mitzvah. You're fulfilling the mitzvah, but you're not actively involved. So that's how Tosfot distinguishes it. Tosfot distinguishes it as such that if you're actively involved in the mitzvah, that by now focusing on the other one, you're almost going to drop the ball. So it's like, bro, just stay focused. Stay focused on the mitzvah that you're doing. That's what according to Tosfot, that's the concept. The concept is, oh, you're putting on your tefillin, and then all of a sudden it says you want to shake the lulav. You say, oh, forget about the tefillin, drop it on the floor, let me shake the lulav. Like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm doing a mitzvah. You're not doing a mitzvah. You're osek mitzvah. You're patur from all of the other mitzvot. Don't even think about everything else. Tosfot explains that osek mitzvah is when you need to focus on something, focus on it. Don't focus on anything else. But if you don't need to focus on it because it's already on you, then you're required to do other mitzvot. This is the way Tosfot explains it. There's other opinions, but this is the way Tosfot answers this question. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Yigal.
Sorry, I know we still have more to go. Does Tosfot make a distinction between if you're occupied in a mitzvah d'Rabbanan and a mitzvah d'Oraita comes up?
Okay, excellent question, Yigal. I hope you guys see why this is such a major topic in Shas, because I can't even get through the Braita. We're not even done with the Braita. Braita is not done. This whole discussion is not even done, and there's a lot more to go. But there's 1,000,001 questions. Yigal's asking a great question. How does Gabriel used the word hierarchy? How does the hierarchy work with mitzvot from the Torah and mitzvot from the rabbis? Let's say I'm involved with a rabbinic mitzvah. Give me an example of a rabbinic mitzvah, Yigal.
Reading Megillah.
Oh, okay, excellent. Reading Megillah is a rabbinic mitzvah, according to one opinion. This is the kiyum of mitzvah of Amalek. But anyway, let's say I'm reading Megillah, and then in the middle of reading Megillah, someone comes to me and asks me to do a mitzvah from the Torah. Hey, we need your help with burying someone, for example, or we need your help with, I need charity. It's a mitzvah from the Torah to give charity. It's a real case. In the middle of your rabbinic mitzvah, are you required to interrupt? Are you allowed to not interrupt? You have to say, I have to do the Torah. What about the opposite? Okay, very good. So yeah, you could say that no, well, rabbinic mitzvot are really the right mitzvot. Okay, very good. Can being involved with rabbinic mitzvot exempt me from Torah mitzvot? I'll give you another example. Another example would be, let's say it comes up a lot, like I said, in Masechet Sukkah. The issue, what's the challenge with fulfilling the mitzvah of Sukkah? What's the hard part, the most difficult part about a Sukkah? What? No, okay. I guess maybe I'm looking for something specific. The hardest part is like you need to be somewhere. Your body needs to be somewhere. So let's say, for example, there's a wedding, and the wedding is in a hall, and they're celebrating there, and you have a mitzvah to make the guy happy, but there's no sukkah there. Am I allowed to just say, okay, forget the mitzvah sukkah tonight because I got to help him? Or let's say, for example, there's a mission that you're on to go get someone out of jail, but the jail doesn't have a sukkah, and I'm over there. I can't have a sukkah here. This is like the concept of shluchei mitzvah paturin min sukkah. Over there, and Mishnah Sukkah tells us you're patur. If you're involved with getting someone out of jail, forget about sukkah. You don't need to do sukkah. You're involved with one mitzvah. You don't need to do the other one. If there's a wedding going on, which we don't really have weddings during Sukkot, but let's say it's a Sheva Berachot going on, and you're involved with helping the chattan and kala, whatever it is, you're helping do a mitzvah for the elderly. The elderly need some help with something, and you're helping them out, which means you can't do the sukkah. You're patur. You don't need to do the other mitzvah. Okay, so then how does it work with rabbinic ones, the Doraita ones? Yigal, excellent question. We have to go in a certain order. I have a proof from the Rambam, but it sounds like once you're doing even a rabbinic mitzvah, you would be patur from the mitzvah from the Torah also. But I have a proof from the Rambam in Berachot 10B. It's just too much. It's just too much. Let me try to rein us in. But it's an excellent question. Hopefully, we'll come back to it. Yes.
sounds like it's not a matter of which one is more important, it's a matter of which one came first.
Uh-huh.
You gotta go by order, not about importance, rabbinical or right.
Okay,
Whichever one you got into first, focus on that and forget about what comes after.
excellent. Very
There's
good.
Order of time.
Okay, so Rama just brought up a whole other dimension. Right now, when Igal brought up the concept of Doraita and Rabbanan, so you're saying, okay, it doesn't matter which one is rabbinic and which one is from the Torah, whichever one came first. The Gemara Berachot actually says there's another dimension of how you judge which one is more important. Which one is more important from the Torah or from the rabbis? There's another one. What if one of them, the punishment is karet? Or one of them, the punishment is death penalty, and one of them is not. Then can you say, you know what, the one that's a death penalty, I'm Patur, I don't need to do that because I'm involved with something smaller. Can you say that? I'll give you an example. Korban Pesach is a positive mitzvah that a person needs to partake in eating from the Korban Pesach on the night of Pesach. And if someone doesn't, the Pasuk says the person will get karet. So what happens if a day before Pesach, okay, hear me out, day before Pesach, there is someone that needs help at the funeral. It's a mitzvah to help your friend. He needs to be buried in a proper way. So the day before Pesach, if you get involved with the burial, what's the problem? You become tameh. By becoming tameh, you are not going to be able to eat from the Korban Pesach the next day. Are you allowed to do that? The day before Pesach, get involved with the cemetery. By doing that, you know that you will not be eating from the Korban Pesach tomorrow night, which is Isur Karet. So guess what the Gemara says? Yes. The first mitzvah, Osek Bemitzvah, Patur mitzvah. That's it. You're involved with one mitzvah, you're not required to do the next mitzvah. You're not going to get karet because you're not required to. Unbelievable. So you're exactly correct that, yes. However, it's not that simple. There are many, many exclusions. But yes, at a high level, you're correct. Yes, yes. Sure.
That's all guys lean on. That's why
Oof. Okay. It's not, and I want to explain, I want to understand why. Okay, Joey's question is an excellent question. Is this the reason why Hatzalah guys, for example, can say it's Shabbat, and really I shouldn't break Shabbat, but someone is at risk, so I'm going to go save their lives, and then I'm Osek Bemitzvah. Now that I'm going to save their lives, now I'm allowed to break Shabbat. Right? Is that your question? Okay, so that is not falling under this principle of Osek Bemitzvah, Patur mitzvah. Why not? Very good. Because Shabbat is a negative commandment. And one of the important tenets of this concept of Osek, I'm going to take it a step further in a second, but the Osek mitzvah, Patur mitzvah is only talking about positive mitzvot, which means if I have a positive mitzvah that I'm involved with, I don't need to do other positive mitzvot. But I'm not allowed to now transgress negative mitzvot. So I'm not allowed to now eat pork. I'm not allowed to now eat a cheeseburger. I'm not allowed to now wear shatnez, for example. I'm not allowed to now break Shabbat. So no. But there is another aspect of it, which is correct. What is that? Prayers. Let's say 2 hours left, 1 hour left, or half hour left to pray mincha, and you have mincha right now. I didn't pray yet, and I'm going to miss the time, and then all of a sudden I get a hatzalah call. By doing this, I'm going to miss out on the mitzvah of tefillah. As a hatzalah guy, am I allowed to? The answer is yes. If I'm going to miss out on fulfilling shaking my lulav, am I allowed to? Yes. If I'm going to miss out on hearing the Megillah, that's from the rabbis, but yes, I'm allowed to. So 100%, hatzalah guys need to rely on this, but not for breaking Shabbat. For breaking Shabbat, what they're relying on is another concept, and that is called pikuach nefesh. Something specific about Shabbat, that Shabbat, if there is a life danger, it becomes suspended. So whether it's for me or for someone else, if there's life danger, then the laws become suspended. So that's more specific to a law that has to do with Shabbat, because otherwise, you're not allowed to eat a cheeseburger unless, when are you allowed to eat a cheeseburger? If there's some life-threatening reason that I would have to, and then the law becomes suspended. The guy is in the middle of somewhere and he's going to die, and there's no other food, so then he's allowed to eat it. Okay, all right. Can we rein it back in? Okay, let's go, because we're still in the middle of the flow of the Breita. All right, everyone with me? Here's what we said so far. We have a Breita that says, B'shivtecha bebeitecha, prat le'osek b'mitzvah. Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh, prat chattan. So when do you have to say Shema? When you're sitting in your house. That comes to exclude prat le'osek b'mitzvah. Coming to exclude someone who is involved with the mitzvah doesn't need to say Shema. Who says Shema? Someone who's sitting in his house, not if he's doing a mitzvah. Who says Shema? Someone who's traveling on the way, not if he is a prat lechattan. Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh comes to exclude a chattan. Correct. Oh, okay, excellent question. So now the next thing is we need to delve into the chattan case, because Kevin asked a good question. Getting married is a mitzvah. So if getting married is a mitzvah, that's already excluded. When it says prat le'osek b'mitzvah, b'shivtecha bebeitecha is coming to exclude mitzvah. So what are you coming to exclude when you say a chattan? A chattan is a unique, is a specific example of doing a mitzvah. So that's a good question. But then sorry? Okay. But a step further, it's not all chattans. It's only a chattan that's marrying a betula, a virgin. So why though? Why if he's marrying a non-virgin, is he not involved with the mitzvah? He's still involved with the mitzvah of getting married, mitzvah of having children. So what's the difference? So the exclusion of the chattan is actually something above and beyond the exclusion of getting involved with the mitzvah. You ready? Let's see what it is. If that's the case, that by being involved with one mitzvah, I'm patur from all other mitzvot, afilu kones et almana nami. So too, someone who is marrying a widow should also be patur from saying Shema. So the Gemara answers, no, you know what the difference is? Hi tarid, hi lo tarid. It doesn't have to do with the fact that he's doing a mitzvah. We're not talking about the moment that he's doing a mitzvah. We're talking about him thinking about the mitzvah. What does that mean? The chattan on his wedding day. Kevin, what time is the chuppah, if you had to guess? 7 o'clock, so early chuppah. It's probably a Sunday night then. So you have a 7 o'clock chuppah. At 5 o'clock, the guy's mind is running in a million places. And they say, you want to say Shema? He says, I can't say Shema right now. My mind's in a million places. Okay? But then the guy who's marrying an almana, he's going to say, yeah, sure, I can say Shema now. My mind is not in a million places. I'm less preoccupied. When a person is marrying a betula, the experience is going to be a little bit different than someone who's marrying a be'ula, someone who's a non-virgin, because there's part of the process, there's something more with a virgin that has to happen, and it could be something that's on the mind of the guy. It could make him nervous. It could make him, he's not sure how it's going to go. He's not sure what he's going to find, what's going to end up being. So there's more thoughts on his mind, whereas someone who's an almana knows that, okay, there's less things that could go wrong, for example. So there's just less on his mind. Okay? No, the day of the chuppah. Like right that night, I'm getting married that night. I don't have to say Shema that night. No. Well, I guess when your chattan teacher teaches you, hey, Elon, leave me alone. Yeah, okay. No, it's a good question. Actually, the halakha says if, let's say, they didn't consummate the marriage, let's say they got married on a Wednesday night or Thursday night, and they didn't consummate the marriage, his patur, his exemption actually extends until they're actually together. So sometimes they're not together that night, they're with each other the next day for whatever it is. He would technically be patur until the next day. By the way, nowadays we don't hold like this. Nowadays, all chattans need to say Shema. Because there's a very specific reason why, which is why this topic I thought we'd be able to cover it in one night. We might need more than one night to cover this topic. So, but the next thing we just introduced is you are patur if your mind is preoccupied. Everyone know what preoccupied means? There's something that's covering that's keeping your mind busy. The Gemara says, "What? I'm patur from Shema if I'm thinking about something? That's crazy. I'm thinking about something that's going to happen, so I don't need to say Shema right now. Suck it up. Focus. So you're thinking about something. Think about something else." So the Gemara says, "Imishum tirda." If since I'm thinking about something, I'm exempt from saying Shema. Afilu tab'as sefinato bayam nami. Let's say his ship sank in the sea, or let's say he owns stock in I don't know what company to drop here. But let's say let's say he owns Bitcoin. Actually, Bitcoin's been going up right now. But let's say he owns stock in NIO, which is dropped like 95%. Baruch Hashem. Not Baruch Hashem. I mean, Baruch Hashem, it didn't go to 100%. It didn't go to 100%. I actually bought it at 50. and I think it's at 5 today. Yeah, I just did it because everyone told me to do it, and then I realized that that's not a way to invest. You don't invest because everyone does. If everyone tells you to do something, that's the time where you start shorting. Yeah, that's when you start saying, okay, I'll sell it to you. Okay, very good. No, don't worry. I didn't hold on to it. I sold it maybe like in the 20s or something. So I only lost 60%. If you would have kept it, you would have lost 90%. Okay, Baruch Hashem. That's why I say Baruch Hashem, because I could have lost more and I didn't. Okay, imishum tirda. If it's because your mind is preoccupied, if the guy's ship is sinking at the sea, his mind is preoccupied, there's something on his mind, then he doesn't need to say Shema. And if you want to say Hachinami, yeah, you're right. Maybe you're going to say that's the case. If you can't focus, okay, you don't need to say Shema. That cannot be. Why? Alama Amar. If that's the case, then why would there have been the following teaching? Amar Rabbi Abba bar Zavda Amar Rav. Rav teaches us the following: Avel, a mourner, which means his relative passed away, his mom passed away, his dad passed away. The guy has a lot on his mind during that time. Chayav b'chol hamitzvot hamurot b'Torah. A mourner is obligated to say all of the mitzvot, to do all of the mitzvot in the Torah, chutz min tefillin, except for one mitzvah, the mitzvah of tefillin. Why? Shahare ne'emar bahen pe'er. Because the tefillin is referred to as pe'er, glory. It is coming, as Shne'emar, as the pasuk says, pe'ercha chavosh alecha. Put on your glory. This is a pasuk in Yechezkel. Yechezkel, his wife passed away, and under normal practices, he would be mourning. And Hashem says to him, I don't want you to mourn. I want you not to do your normal practices of mourning. Pe'ercha chavosh alecha. Wear your tefillin. Wear your honor, wear your glory, which means normally an Avel would not put on his tefillin because the tefillin is like a crown. It's a form, a symbol of glory, a symbol of kavod. And a mourner is someone who is not in that state, so you don't put the glory on his head. But all of the other mitzvot he's obligated to do. So 612 mitzvot, and a mourner is chayav to do. So if that's the case, that if you're going to tell me that why is it that a person marrying a betula is patur from Shema? Because he's preoccupied, so that means someone loses money, he's also preoccupied, he doesn't need to say Shema. And if you're going to say, yeah, that's the case, but what about someone who lost his father or lost his mother? We know he needs to do all of the mitzvot of the Torah. We know he needs to say Shema. So clearly you can't tell me someone who's preoccupied doesn't need to say Shema. So what does the Gemara answer? There's a difference with what you're preoccupied with. Hatam, Tari, Tirdad, Mitzvah. The chattan, who is thinking about all of these thoughts about his wedding night, is involved with thinking about a mitzvah. He's thinking about a way to how he's going to consummate his marriage, which is a mitzvah. But hacha, Tari, Tirdad, Reshut. But here, by someone who is thinking about his ship that sank, it's not a mitzvah to think about it. It's not a mitzvah to think about your money that you lost. It's not a mitzvah to even think about the person who passed away. There's mitzvot of mourning. There's mitzvot of avelut. A person is not supposed to shower. A person is not supposed to wear the leather shoes. A person is not supposed to sit on a high level. But there's nowhere that it says a person is not allowed to think about anything else. A person should control his thoughts for a few moments to say Shema Yisrael. And in fact, the Avel is chayav to say Shema Yisrael. Avel is chayav. Before the person's relative passes away, before the body is buried, that's a status called an onen. And during aninut, you are patur from mitzvot. The person is patur from the mitzvot. During that time period until they bury. But once the person is buried, at that moment, he's a chayav in all of the mitzvot. Why? Because even though his mind is thinking about his loss, the thinking about the loss is not a mitzvah. It's a natural state to be in, to be sad. That's why the Gemara is saying, like, your mind is preoccupied. But it's not a mitzvah preoccupation. That being the case, you're required to focus your thoughts for a few minutes to say Shema, a few moments to say Shema. Whereas someone who's a chattan and he's preoccupied with thinking about consummating the marriage, that is thinking about a mitzvah. So that's where he's not obligated to say Shema. So Sorry? No, that's not the only time. It's an example. Correct. If someone is preoccupied with doing a mitzvah, that is the exact thinking about it. So going back to Kevin's question. Kevin's question was, we have two phrases. You're sitting in your house. Oh, that means you're coming to exclude someone who's doing a mitzvah. Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh is coming to exclude a chattan. It's not just a chattan, it's someone who is thinking about doing a mitzvah. Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha is coming to exclude someone who is actively involved with the mitzvah. Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh is coming to exclude someone who is not actively involved now, but is thinking about it. Can you give me another example of a situation where your mind is preoccupied about doing a mitzvah? Writing a book? I don't know if that, almost like debilitating. I'll give you a very simple example. You're dressed up, you're ready to go raid a building to free some hostages. Okay? You're sitting there in the bus. You didn't go yet. Well, you should say Shema, right? But your mind is focused on something else. You are Patur. Patur from saying Shema. There's no obligation for you to say Shema there. You are fully consumed by something else. What the Torah wants of you is to stay focused on that. That is a being Osek Bemitzvah fully. I will mention that that doesn't mean that during wartime a person doesn't need to say Shema. Of course, there's a famous Gemara in the beginning of Masechet Megillah that says how in the evening times they should still be focused on studying Torah. But like if you're about to go do a mission, or if you're thinking about something and your mind is fully on it, that is the second exemption. So Osek Bemitzvah, Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha is coming to exclude someone who's Osek Bemitzvah. Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh is someone that is tarid Bemitzvah, tarud Bemitzvah, preoccupied in the mitzvah. Okay, yes, question.
Seems like we're drawing like an imaginary line, so those are like two extreme examples. Like someone mentioned like getting a degree Torah. That
Yeah.
was kind of stressful.
Okay. That's a good point. Oh wow. Giving you don't I'm just gonna give you a little bit of behind the scenes of my life. When I go to a wedding and they ask me to speak at a chuppah, before that chuppah, like just leave me alone. People want to start asking me questions about what's kosher. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm thinking, like I'm trying to get my words. You say the wrong thing during the chuppah, that thing is recorded, and they're showing it to their children. Like you want to make sure you say the right thing. My mind is focused on that. I'm just rehearsing the speech beforehand, so it's like leave me alone. So yeah, that would be a situation where I'm allowed to focus on it. I'm allowed to focus on my speech. And if someone wants to come ask me a question, I'm just going to ignore them. Patur, yeah, Jaden said the mitzvah of loving your neighbor. I don't love my neighbor at that case. No, I'm kidding. Chas v'shalom, chas v'shalom. I actually do want to speak about the mitzvah ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. I want to speak about a lot of things. There's a million things that I don't want to speak about. But let's take a few things at a time. One thing I just want to mention, because I mentioned about the morning, and your question is about Divrei Torah. So let me.
It's really about like where do you draw the line?
Okay, so there's something very specific about Torah that needs to be mentioned, and let me share my screen when I do this. Okay, here we go. The Rambam in Hilchot Talmud Torah, which is the laws of Talmud Torah, speaks about this concept specifically, this concept of Osek mitzvah in the context of Limud Torah. Okay, let me ask you guys a question. Right now, someone comes outside and says, guys, Sheva Berachot. I need panim chadashot. I need new people. There's a wedding. We want to make them happy, and let's just get some complete random strangers to make them happy. You too. You guys come right now. Come with me right now. We need to do a mitzvah of making a chattan and kala happy to do Sheva Berachot. What should you do? Should you get up and go? Or let's say, for example, they come to you and say, there's a wedding right now. There's a wedding. The wedding is empty. We need to have people there to make them happy. Rabbi Adam, close up your shiur. No shiur tonight. Instead, send your guys to go to the wedding, as though like you have to do what I say. Actually, sometimes this happens. Sometimes they say, Rabbi, can you cancel your class and send them to? I mean, send them where? They're not mine to send. They're coming to the Gemara shiur. If you want, you advertise them to come to you. But so, what would you do in a situation like that? Someone comes and summons you, say, don't go study Torah. Instead, come do this mitzvah. What would you do? So you say, yes, go. Okay, but Osek mitzvah, Patur and mitzvah. Right now, you're in the middle of studying. Someone comes to you and says, go somewhere else. You say, I'm sorry, I'm involved with the mitzvah. I don't need to come do another one. It depends on how hungry you are.
You're saying like, you have to go, or it's better to? There's a difference.
Am I allowed to go even? Am I allowed to go? I'm involved with one mitzvah. I'm going to drop the ball. If I'm wearing my tefillin and someone comes and says, shake your lulav, am I allowed to take off my tefillin? You're involved with a mitzvah. Focus on your mitzvah. You're sitting here studying Torah, and then all of a sudden, this happens a lot with Kohanim. You have any Kohanim here? A Kohen, Teflak, is coming and studying Torah. They come and they say, we need a Kohen. We need a Kohen. You need a Kohen. I'm in the middle of studying my class. You need a Kohen for Berachot Kohanim. If I'm a Kohen, do I have to get up and go? Or can I say, no, thank you. I want to stay here studying.
You're learning Torah to do it.
I guess so.
Oh.
The coin has, like, if there's no coin in the building, then you need the coin. So like, I can go tell the guy, go call your cousin and tell him the coin.
Okay, very good. You guys are coming up with a very unique distinction that applies only by Talmud Torah. You ready? Here we go. Famous chiluk. Haya lefanav asiyat mitzvah v'Talmud Torah. Says the Rambam. You have in front of you the ability to perform a mitzvah on one hand and to study Torah on the other hand. Here's his distinction. Im efshar la mitzvah le'asot al yedei acherim. If it's possible that this mitzvah will get done by other people, lo yafsik talmudo, then don't stop learning. Which means if they come to here and they say, hey, you two, I need you for a Sheva Berachot, they say, can you go ask the people over there that are smoking hookah in the tent right now? They're just hanging out. And you say, okay, I'll go ask them. And then you go ask them, and then they come. So then why should you stop your Torah study when someone else could do it? That's what the Rambam says. If it's possible that others can take care of this for you, and then you continue studying Torah, then it's a win-win. Now they're doing a mitzvah, and you're doing your mitzvah, so continue studying. Lo yafsik talmudo, don't stop learning. Ve'im lav. But if this mitzvah will not get done, ya'aseh ha-mitzvah, go do it. Interrupt your Torah study and go do that mitzvah. Why? V'yachzor la-talmudo. And then when you're done, it doesn't say why, when you're done, then come back to continue your Torah study. So the Rambam doesn't say, and then afterwards you get the night off. So go do the mitzvah, and then get back there afterwards. So you get there a little bit late. Why? Why do you think when it comes to Torah, Talmud Torah, we don't say Osek mitzvah patur mitzvah. We say it depends. Will the mitzvah get done? If the mitzvah will get done, then you're patur. But if the mitzvah will not get done, then you need to go. Why do you think we have that distinction? There's many answers, by the way. Talmud Torah keneged kulam would mean what? Would mean that you should never leave, but the halakha is you should leave. Halakha is that if that's not going to get done, you should leave. So all the more so, Talmud Torah keneged kulam. Why am I going to leave the most important mitzvah to go do another mitzvah?
That's why we're learning. So when the opportunity arises, we know what to do.
Okay, so it is Igal and Ilan, you guys are saying the same concept, and this is exactly what some of the opinions say. They say we learn lilmod lomdim al menat la'asot. We learn Torah not as a intellectual pursuit. We learn Torah to know how to act. So if a person is studying Torah and then they have the opportunity to act and they don't act, the question is, well, what are you learning for? The whole purpose of our learning is so that when the opportunities come, we know how to act properly. The learning comes, the Torah tells us how to act as human beings. So now you have an opportunity to act and you're not going to act. It almost shows that your limud Torah is lacking. So that's why in a situation like that, you need to stop. However, going to Tomer's point, if the mitzvah is going to get done, and then you say, no, like, is it better for me to do this mitzvah or is it better for me to do that mitzvah? The answer is, it's better for you to do limud Torah. Studying Torah is the most important mitzvah there is. So if someone has the opportunity to study Torah or something else, then a person should study Torah unless that mitzvah is not going to get done. And if that mitzvah is not going to get done, then you need to get up and do it, because the whole purpose of us studying Torah is to get up and to make sure we do activities. So the very simple example, they come and they tell you, we have a Sheva Berachot tonight. Look, there's a million people that could go to Sheva Berachot. Like, leave me alone. I have my shiur. Go ask someone else. But if, let's say, for example, no, there really is no one else. In your example of in my example of a Kohen, there's no one else who's going to do this. Now, even that, I don't know. If I were a Kohen, I would say you could read a line when there's no Kohen in the room. You could read that. It's not their mitzvah necessarily to go search for a Kohen. But whatever, regardless. But the example of a Kohen, it's not going to happen. Okay, so go do the mitzvah. Just with this, there's so many stories. Yeah, question.
What if you're learning Torah and someone else is relying on you to be there? Are we still allowed to go to someone that might
Okay. So someone else is relying on you. The question is that reliance, is that a mitzvah in and of itself? Like when you say someone relies on you, what does that mean? Like a teacher, for example. It's a mitzvah to teach, not just studying Torah, but it's also to teach. It's a mitzvah of chinuch, it's a mitzvah. So then potentially, then you're like Osek Bemitzvah. But so like it could be a type of chesed opportunity. So it depends on what your situation is, but it might be that if you know, for example, the person's going to study anyway. Let's say you're learning with someone else, and if you don't show up, he's going to study anyway. Then yeah, you would be required to leave your Torah study, go do the other mitzvah, and then come back afterwards. So this comes up a lot. Let's say, for example, let's say there's a wedding on a Tuesday night. Are you like, what should you do? Now, I think if there's a wedding on Tuesday nights, we've canceled class. That's what we've done in the past. But I'll tell you a story with Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. Very, very cute story. He was the rabbi of the yeshiva, and there was talmidim in his yeshiva, students of the yeshiva, that there was a wedding one night. And they came and they asked the rabbi, one of our friends are getting married. Are we allowed to leave the yeshiva and not study Torah that night to go do the mitzvah of being misameach chattan and kala, to go make the chattan and kala happy at the wedding? And he says there's going to be a lot. The rabbi responded, there's going to be a lot of people at the wedding. There's going to be a lot of people at the wedding who could sing Od Yishama. You don't need to go. The mitzvah can be done through others, so you don't need to go. If you're the best friend, if you're something that your mitzvah is not going to be able to get done by someone else because you're the brother, okay, so then you have to go. But if you're just going to be one in the crowd, so let the others do it. And then they say, okay, but Rabbi, you go to weddings. You leave the yeshiva and go to weddings. And he says exactly this point. He said, because when I'm going to weddings at this stage of my life, there's bringing some simcha. Actually, I think the story was said a little bit differently. He says how when I go to weddings nowadays, it makes them very happy. It makes them happier in ways that other people can't do. But let me tell you one thing, that if when I was your age, when I was younger, and I was a child and I was a student, if I were going to make people happy then, leaving the yeshiva to go make happy then today it wouldn't make people so happy. Meaning the only reason why now, later in my life, when I go to weddings, it makes people so happy is because earlier in my life, I was staying here studying, I was staying here focused. And so if you really want to make people happy at weddings, then stay here focused until you become someone great. And then you'll really make people happy by going to their weddings and showing up. Okay, we spoke about a lot of things. Yes. Yeah. Look, this is no joke. Like, don't take it for lightly how you have a set thing to study Torah. Yeah, this is not a joke. This is something that you should hold on to and you should never give up. And there are times where we have to cancel class for whatever reason. If you have a set time to study, that should be blocked off. Now, if it's a best friend that really wants you there, something like that, or if I said, so like someone wants me to come give a speech there and I say like, no, I can't. They say, no, please. Okay, so clearly they want me there. So then that's a mitzvah that's but even that, I'm not that important. There have been times that I say no, or let's say there's another shiur. Sometimes on a Tuesday night they have another shiur somewhere else. Okay, so why are you going there? Is it going to support the room, or you want to go study something? If you're involved with one mitzvah, you're not obligated to do other mitzvot. So if you want to go help out with another mitzvah, you want to go do Sheva Berachot. I mean, there's so many examples, but okay, sorry. Sorry, Kevin, did I answer your question?
Yeah, we shouldn't go to the wedding.
Yeah. If you have set established time for studying Torah and you're going to lose out on it, so what can you do? There's a way to do both.
Call it on Zoom.
Yeah. So you could just take a Gemara there and study. I had someone in this situation where he had his set chavruta to study, but then there was an NYC lecture that I was speaking at, and it was at someone's house. It was at his friend's house. And he asked me, he said, my friend was begging me to come there. He said, but Rabbi, tell me what to do. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm learning more than I'm going to learn from your lecture, which was very like a slap in my face. But he said, I'm going to learn more if I'm doing with my thing, continue doing it. What am I supposed to do? I told him, keep to your studying. You don't need to come to your base like my friend wants me there. I'm like, okay, you don't owe your friend to come if you want to do something. So at the end, it came to that night, I saw him there. And I was like, Then I looked during my lecture, he had his book in front of him. He was reading out of his book while I was giving a speech. So he fulfilled both. His friend didn't know the difference. His friend saw he was there and he was happy. So he was doing it and he was continuing his Torah study. So you got to be clever. There's ways to do both mitzvot. There's ways to, pull your phone out and listen to shiurs. To multitask, exactly. But just to be sitting there, so this way you're giving the FaceTime. Okay, good. Okay, wow. All right. Let's see where we're up to. Okay, so we did this. Oh, I want to speak about avelut. 1 second. Okay, hold on. I need to finish this flow. Okay, high level. Where did we end off? We ended off as follows. Beit Shammai, back to our Mishnah, said, I learned from Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha that you need to lie down and you need to stand up when you say Shema. Beit Hillel says, no, that's just telling you the times, evening and morning. So Beit Shammai's response to that is, if it wanted to just tell me the times, it would have said Baboker uva erev, morning and evening. It didn't, which means it needs to go for the positions. So we just explained Beit Shammai on this side. But now, hey Beit Shammai, what do you say about Beit Hillel's proof? Beit Hillel's proof of how do I know that I could say Shema in any position? Remind me, what was Beit Hillel's proof that you could say Shema in any position? Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh, when you're traveling on the way. Just as when you're traveling, you in any direction, any position, so too when you say Shema, you can be in any position. So Beit Shammai, what do you do with that? With the fact that he says Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh means you could say Shema in any position, what do you do with that? He says, I'll tell you what I do with that. I learned from there the rule of Osek, Bemitzvah, Patur, Mitzvah. And Tarid Bemitzvah, if I'm thinking about a mitzvah, Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh teaches me prat chattan. So that's what I do with it. And you say, oh, touche. So Beit Hillel, if you're telling me Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh is teaching you that you could say Shema in any position, what about the rule of Osek Bemitzvah Patur and Mitzvah? Beit Shammai learns that out from Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh. Where do you learn it from? So I'm skipping the next two lines because according to the Bach, it's a typo or it's a printer's error. So I'm just going to jump to Beit Hillel. Beit Hillel Amri, Beit Hillel says, you're correct. I agree with you. I agree with you that Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh is coming to teach me the rule of prat chattan. I agree with Beit Shammai. Mimela Shema mina. But I learned two in one. The afilu baderech nami kareh. I'm learning two things in one. Number one, I'm learning. I know that the art school includes it, but I'm skipping these next two lines. So I just turned to 11a2. Beit Hillel Amri, Beit Hillel say, Mimela Shema mina, afilu baderech nami kareh. You learn it as what? 2a3, 11a3. Very good. I just skipped those two lines of Beit Shammai, Havu mibei lev prat shochem mitzvah. But this Beit Hillel says Mimela Shema mina. I'm learning it out from the context of the text, which means what? I'm learning out Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh that a chattan doesn't need to say Shema on the night of his wedding. But also look at the literal words. It's telling you have to say Shema when you're traveling on the way. Comes to exclude something, chattan and someone who's involved in the mitzvah. But it also is telling you that you have to say Shema when you're traveling on the way. So from the very fact that I know that I have to say Shema when I'm traveling on the way, no matter what position I'm in, I'm learning two in one. In other words, Beit Shammai says I can learn two things out of here. Sorry, Beit Hillel says I can learn two things out of this word derech. I'm learning, number one, that Osek Mitzvah Patur Mitzvah, and number two, I'm learning that you could say Shema in any position. When you have to say Shema, you can say it in any position. And Beit Shammai also learns two things out from Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha. He learns out Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha the times of the night and the day. He also learns the position. So each of them are going to double dip. Beit Shammai double dips from Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha. Uveshokhbekha Uvkumekha is telling you the time. You say Shema when you're lying down and getting up, and it's also the position. You have to be lying down and getting up. Beit Hillel double dips on Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh, traveling on the way. That teaches me that I'm Osek Mitzvah Patur and a mitzvah, and it's also teaching me that I could say it in any position that I want. So each of them are going to double dip. It's just a matter of which one they want to double dip. Ad kan. So we have to, there's so much to discuss. I want to just mention one more thing about the Avel. Remember how I said we did that an Avel is chayav in all of the mitzvot except for tefillin. We're speaking about onen, someone who his relative passed away on the day. If the person passed away and is buried on the same day, the person does not need to wear tefillin that day. Okay, Shalom Ada, someone's parent passes away at 3 a.m. and then at 10 a.m. they bury the body. No tefillin that day. Okay? No. This is what we're learning. Person should not wear tefillin. However, there is an opinion that says that if the burial and the death is on 2 separate days, then he would need to wear tefillin. So what that means is, let's say a person passes away on Sunday, and then the burial is on Monday, the person would need to wear tefillin after the burial. And in fact, Rabbi Ben Chaim says that this happened with himself. It happened with himself. Someone in his family passed away, and when the person passed away, he wow, so nice shiur you got there. Yeah, you were involved in one shiur. You don't need to come to another shiur. Yeah. Oh, you missed our cheeseburger time. Oh yeah. For Avel also, correct. It's also Misad Aseh, meaning an Avel is not that he does Avel is chayav in all of the mitzvot. No. All mitzvot is chayav. Onen. Okay, very good. So the Rabbi Chaim has told us this very story that he himself lost a relative. Then burial was on another day. After the burial, he asked Mordechai Eliyahu what to do, and Mordechai Eliyahu told him put on tefillin without a bracha. So this type of situation comes up. Be'ezor Hashem, no one has to deal with this. But it's important to be aware of it, that if there's someone passes away and there's a burial on another day, when they come back from the Beit on the second day, when they come back, the people they put on the tefillin without a bracha. That's the custom of our community, as Rabbi Ben Chaim. It's a minhag of Yerushalayim, I believe. Not everyone holds this way, but this is how we hold. Okay, let's do a very quick recap. High level. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but a very high level. Machloket Beit Shammai Beit Hillel. What is the Machloket Beit Shammai Beit Hillel? The Machloket is: do you need to be in specific positions when you say Shema? According to
Shammai says yes.
Yes, Beit Hillel says no. Very good. And then we get into the sources of what they go into. And as we're going into the sources, we learn that from these words, Uveshokhbekha Vaderekh, there's a very important concept that comes out of it. What's that concept called? I want to hear the words. Osek, Bemitzvah, Patur, mitvah. Everyone say it. Osek, Bemitzvah, Patur, mitvah. When you're involved with one mitzvah, you're Patur from the other mitzvah. How do you learn that out? Because it says you have to say Shema when you're sitting at home, when you're chilling and you're just watching TV. You need to say Shema. Uvelekhtekha Vaderekh, or when you're going on a leisurely walk, something, and you're going for a tiyul, you're just going for a stroll, you need to say Shema. But if you were to be involved with a mitzvah, or if you're preoccupied with a mitzvah like a chattan, you do not need to say Shema Yisrael. Just one thing about the chattan, because we asked, what about nowadays? The chattan, on the night of his wedding, does he have to say Shema? The answer that comes up, the answer is yes, he needs to. You know why? Because it doesn't take much energy to say Shema Yisrael. You say Shema Yisrael, Adonai Adonai Echad, done. It used to be that you were able to focus on the mitzvah and accepting Kabbalat Ol Malchut Shammai and accepting that Hashem is your creator and Hashem created the 7 heavens and Hashem created all 4 corners of the earth. It's like, I can't do that, I'm involved with the mitzvah. But now, who has these kavanot? No one has these kavanot. Usually the only kavanah is like, who texted me? That's the kavanah that you have when you're saying Shema Yisrael. So, right? And I'm kidding. But like, this is what we say. Nowadays, we say, everyone say Shema, because look, it's not that difficult to just say the words. So it ends up being that everyone says Shema nowadays. Okay, but just again, we made a distinction between marrying a Betula and marrying a Be'ula. What's the difference?
You're not worried about something.
Correct. It's a matter of how preoccupied you are. With marrying a Betula, you're preoccupied with the mitzvah, and marrying a Betula, you're not. What about if your ship is sinking at sea? You're preoccupied. You have to. It's not a mitzvah to think about that. Similar with an Avel. Thinking about the sorrow is not a mitzvah. There's mitzvot of avelut, but that's not one of the mitzvahs. Not to be in this thought that you can't think and focus. Okay, we did a lot of very important things. The discussion is not done. The other things that we spoke about is specifically with the mitzvah of Talmud Torah, how that is a unique mitzvah that Really, Osek mitzvah does not apply to that. What depends on is whether the mitzvah is going to get done or not. If the mitzvah will not get done, you need to get up and go do it, because that's why we're studying. We're studying Torah to go learn how to act. But if the mitzvah will get done by others, then do not leave your seat. Stay focused on Talmud Torah, which comes back to Tomer's point of Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. We need to appreciate, and the chilek that we have of studying Torah is the most important mitzvah. And it's something that we should not be taken for light. It should not be taken lightly. That if a person is involved with this mitzvah, they should stay focused. They should not give it up so easily. They should only try to increase. And right now, we're Baruch Hashem, we're entering times of Simcha. We're entering times of Purim, entering times of Pesach. These are times that we remember that there are people back then that wanted to destroy us, wanted to take our Jewish identity away from us, as that there is today. There are people who want to destroy Am Yisrael and destroy the Jewish people today, and not to let them do that. And one of the ways to do that is to stay close to we are, close to our identity, close to our Torah. And the more we study the Torah, the more we're showing the enemies that you tried to take us away. We're going to only be more committed to it. So, Bezrat Hashem, we have a Purim coming up. I hope and pray everyone has a very fun Purim, a Purim filled with mitzvot. There's a lot of mitzvot. And don't forget, in the middle of all of the fun and festivities that you're having on Purim, to study Torah. Because this is the most important mitzvah. So make sure that in the middle of your seudah, to give divrei Torah. If you're having a meal, someone should give divrei Torah to the seudah. If you're gathering and you're seeing people, give divrei Torah. The other mitzvot of the day are important. But Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam, let's make sure to bring Torah into our Purim as well. Okay? Have a great week, everyone. Yes.